Some stories live in the shadows. Some people are hidden behind usernames, secrets, and power plays. And then some decide to step into the light, not just for themselves, but for everyone who's ever been manipulated, silenced, or used as content for clicks. This is one of those stories. Welcome back to Pop Culture Exposé, the podcast that unpacks the biggest stories in entertainment and lifts the veil on the gossip you thought you knew.
It's Daniel, aka Danny Gossip Girl. I've got the scoop on Bravo and Blinds. Let's go. When the stars come out to play, you know where to stay. Tune into the buzz, it's the talk of the day. From Bravo shows to the latest celeb spree, we've got the tea, come sip it with me. Danny Gossip Girl, Pop Culture Exposé. We're spilling all the secrets every single day. From Hollywood lights to the gossip blinds, catch the news, don't get left behind.
New. And today I'm joined by someone who needs really no introduction to our listeners because she's already become one of your favorite voices, Cassandra Crose. She is back, and this time we are diving deeper than ever. You've heard whispers, you've seen the blinds, and you may have even read the lies, but Cassandra lived it. She was there. She was a part of the sedan machine in a way, and she had a front row seat to the manipulation, the deception, and the man behind it all, John Nelson, known to the world as Enty lawyer. What Cassandra has endured emotionally, personally, and publicly is something few could understand unless they've been inside the storm. And today she's not just telling her story, she's reclaiming it. So buckle up. This episode is not just about gossip, it's about truth, accountability, and power. But before we jump into it, Cassandra, can you introduce yourself to anyone new joining us today and let everyone know where they can find you online?
Of course. Thank you for that amazing introduction. Um, you can find me at Cassandra Explains It All, Drenched in Drama on Apple, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, and also Instagram, Patreon. I've been creating podcasts for years. So I'd say it's a little bit of everything from Hollywood gossip to nostalgia interviews, all the way to things that happen with John, major exposés, receipts, and
Mhm.
chronicling, my entire journey that happened.
Yeah, and so many receipts. Let's not forget you cover a lot of true crimes, missing person cases as well. You are an encyclopedia of topics, Cassandra. So talented.
I did start covering a lot more missing people cases because once I got a bigger platform, I felt like it was important to try to just raise awareness about, people, try to help people that needed more coverage. Like Dane Elkin's mom has been searching for him tirelessly for years. I believe he's still alive and out there. I've talked about that a lot.
Mhm.
Chalice Welch, so many others, so many people that don't get a huge platform. And in that way, I can feel like I'm still talking about things that are relevant today. It's not nostalgia, but also not just Hollywood gossip, because I mean, as you can imagine, that stuff, it really did leave like a bad taste in my mouth. And it is
Yeah.
like sometimes kind of triggering.
No, I totally understand that. And again, somebody who's loved all of that for so long, I totally get that and can only imagine how you feel. And I'm sure our audience will understand it even more so after hearing your story. But now here's how we're going to break things down a bit. But real quick, If this episode today, if it moves you, if it surprises you, or makes you look at gossip culture a little bit differently, do us a favor, like, follow, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. It's the best way to support stories that challenge the status quo and honor the truth. Every share, every review, every tap matters. But let's get into the breakdown for today. So, this interview unfolds in different chapters. We're going to start at the beginning, how Cassandra first got involved in the Sedan universe. Then we'll walk through her relationship with John Nelson, the charm, the control, and the unraveling. Next, we'll open the door to the machine behind the myth, how blinds were built, what really went down behind the scenes, and how truth became collateral damage. Then we'll talk about the emotional toll, the trauma, the fear, and ultimately the freedom. And we'll close with a look at what healing looks like and what justice could look like as well. So stick around until the end because there is a lightning round. Surprise, Cassandra. That's new. Got to keep you on your toes with being a three-peater. So let's just say Cassandra, hopefully she doesn't hold back today. So let's get started. I want to first say, Cassandra, I'm just so grateful that we crossed paths maybe like I think it was about a year and a half ago because I was getting ready to redo my work on the Epstein case, which I was involved with Enty lawyer on. And then I stumbled across your Instagram page. And I wanted to be upfront and honest as I started following you. And if you looked at my account and you could clearly see on my page that I was into his work and I collaborated with him, I didn't want you to think I was, in his army trying to follow you or do anything misleading. So, we got in contact with each other. And slowly but surely, developed a friendship, especially as more and more, the truth came out as well. So I just want to start off by saying it has been such a highlight to become friends with you throughout this experience. Even though it just really started with me wanting to bring out the truth along with yourself. So thank you for being my friend, Cassandra.
Thank you. Honestly, you've been one of my biggest cheerleaders through this entire experience. And I can honestly say I don't think I would have gotten this far without you.
Oh, thank you. Happy to have your back, and we'll always have your back. But let's get into it because we have so much to discuss. So take us back to the beginning. Who were you when you first encountered John Nelson, aka NT lawyer?
Yeah, that's a good question. At that time, I was podcasting. I was just doing my nostalgia podcast at night, mostly for fun. I wasn't really making any money off of it, but it was for me a really fun hobby. But like so many other people, I uh, started hearing about blind items and thinking about the celebrities that I loved from the 90s and 80s and 2000s and like, do they have this secret, dark, hidden past? And I would see these blind items pop up. And I finally came across Enty, and he had this aura of being an industry insider. And I was, I think, just drawn to that world of blind items and Hollywood gossip when I had never been before. And I decided to do an episode with him to ask him, like basically a nostalgia based episode where I could ask him questions about the cast of like Growing Pains and Boy Meets World and The Wonder Years, things like that. Welcome to Cassandra Explains It All, a podcast where we take a magnifying glass to all of our treasures from the past. My guest today needs no introduction. Enty Lawyer is your one and only source into the scandalous lives of Hollywood's elite. And in November of 2006, Enty Lawyer started a website called Crazy Days and Nights. And the rest was history. What you're about to hear is me picking his brain about everything nostalgia I could think of. And we had a blast. So make sure if you guys want the exclusive interview with Taisha Hampton, you go over to my Patreon at Cassandra Explains It All, patreon.com. And of course, check out the Crazy Days and Nights website and NT Lawyer on every major podcasting platform and patreon.com as well.
Hey, everybody. Welcome today. I have Cassandra joining me, who is a subscriber to the podcast and had some topics that she wanted to discuss. She also has her own podcast. So very Melissa Joan Hardish of you. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very excited to talk to you. I probably couldn't name one Real Housewife if my life depended on it. So I'm definitely coming to you for the nostalgia vault of blind items.
Everybody can name one housewife.
I know it's sad. I really don't keep up with anything current. But I always find something within your blinds that keeps me hooked.
Well, good. I mean, that's kind of I enjoy writing them, and I enjoy that you like them and that you want to go old school with this. So have at
That.
it.
And you also had to pay what, like $250 too for that?
$250 to do an episode with him. And I did pay it because I figured, you know what, it's my birthday. I
Mm.
don't go out, I don't spend money on myself. So I thought it would be good for my podcast, good, just a fun thing to splurge on for myself, you know?
Yeah, treat yourself.
We immediately started interacting more over time. I became a part of the inner circle, or at least I thought, that's what was happening.
Mhm.
He kind of like handed me the keys to the kingdom, gave me the login to his Patreon, um, was very forthright about how he wrote the blinds, where he got his information, like Lipstick Alley, and we'll get into more of that later,
Yeah, we'll
but
definitely get into that. Can't
sending
wait.
me sending me a lot of catfish photos, as I would describe them.
Oh
So
my goodness.
at some point, there was a shift in the dynamic.
Please note that parts of this episode does contain triggering topics around physical abuse, ED, and much more, and some really graphic language.
Like the more I got involved, the more I realized how much of it was built on manipulation and exaggeration, and then just like outright lies.
Right. Now, before we get into all of the unfortunate drama, and everyone, maybe do grab your popcorn, similar to the watch alongs that Cassandra and I do as well. But Cassandra, when did you first realize that he wasn't just this anonymous internet character behind the scenes, but a real man inserting himself into your life? Was it hours? Was it days? Was it weeks? What would you say?
I would say weeks. I mean, just within a few weeks, he was emailing me constantly. He wanted to record with me almost every single night.
So I'm really, really glad that you decided to join me, Enty. Thank you for coming back.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to be back.
And he was having me do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as writing notes for the episodes, doing research and things like that. So it did feel like really intense right off the bat. And then as soon as he had my phone number, he was texting me like at least 4 times an hour, every hour for the first few months, it was like nonstop.
Yeah, and I remember you saying that he was texting you so nonstop that when you would finally get a chance to read the text messages, he would text you again. And then, as you know, when somebody texts you, it's like, damn it, it restarts where
Mm-hmm.
you were at. So you lose your spot. So, hence the reason you had to take screenshots of it so that you can even get through what he had sent you earlier in the day without losing your spot, so to say. But also, like, thank goodness, because now you have so much evidence to
Looking
back up
back,
everything.
exactly. And looking back, I like me today with all the knowledge that I have now, I would have noticed that he was completely manic, sending me hundreds of text messages a night. He must have been up all night, or he must have been using some kind of AI also to text because it's just not normal. Like, even in the beginning stages of a relationship, that's not normal. He was extremely obsessed with me. But at that time, I had come off of a horrible relationship. I was rebuilding my life. I was very private, didn't really have much of a life, didn't go out. Um, and so I feel like I just kind of fell into the trap of it. I enjoyed somebody giving me that much attention and telling me how great I was. And obviously, I enjoyed doing the episodes with him because they were nostalgia based and it felt fun at first.
Now, was it you recording a lot of episodes for him? Was it you also doing research on episodes that you weren't maybe a voice on? What exactly? A little bit of mix of both?
Yeah, definitely both. Like, I had come on to do a Full House episode. I came on, gosh, there were so many collaborative episodes right in that first month or two.
Mhm.
And then I was like, people are gonna find out that something is going on between us if I keep coming on your podcast. And so I stopped coming on, but I was constantly helping him write episodes or just completely writing them for him. And also editing, also producing, like, about Epstein, obviously. So
Mhm.
he did this interview with Maria Farmer at one point, and she was the first Epstein whistleblower. And I was, on the Zoom call during that recording and went ahead and edited it for him after the episode before it got released. And there was some parts he wanted me to take out because he thought it would piss off certain listeners of his. So I think I'm the only person that actually has the completely unredacted, unedited version of that episode.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, I promised you a special guest, and, no introductions necessary. I have Maria Farmer on, and almost 30 years ago, Maria was an artist who had basically just graduated, got a master's degree, and then was swept up into the world of Jeffrey Epstein. So, Maria, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you. It's
And
nice to be
and
able to speak to you.
I know, and Maria is a subscriber, so to the podcast, which is nice.
Yes.
And
Um, so things like that, and just obviously I would send him anything I would find on Reddit, Lipstick Alley, just lots of research stuff, and we had
Yeah.
a shared, and I still have this on my phone, like we had a shared Google Docs where, I mean, there's probably 100 documents in there where you could just, one of them says like Idaho 4 or one of them says Epstein, and you can just open it.
What?
Right. And I still have this. And we're still like both in the documents. Like, you can see me and him are the only ones in there. So I could go to any one of them, Brad Renfro, and just open it. And it's like all of his blinds that he would take and put in there. And then I would take all my independent research and put it in there. And then we would both format it into an episode for that night. So we'd both kind of work on it all day throughout the day. And then that night
Mhm.
we would record it. But as time went on, he did less and less and less work. And it felt like I was doing all of the work, which
Right.
I didn't care because I thought I was like in love with this person. Um, but little did I know he was truly using me for photos, videos, work, sex. Um, just complete a form of complete escapism. He was living in a fantasy world, really just like living in a closet.
Literally, literally. But and he definitely had a pattern. So for sure, if you were to have stayed on the podcast longer, they would have noticed, like they noticed him and John, that
Mm.
things were going on with you. And then who knows what people would have said online as well. Was there a specific moment that things like truly shifted between the two of you from professional to romantic? Obviously, we know love was involved, later and down the line, but when did things first shift originally for you guys?
I mean, right in those first few weeks, he was telling me, have you ever been to Chicago? Ferris Bueller is my favorite movie. I want to take you to Chicago. Um, red flags, like so many red flags,
Mhm.
Danny, that I should have seen at that time, but I was so blinded to it, getting inundated with all this attention. And to me, it was like, well, this person can't be full of shit because they have an entire platform and podcast and like reputation. And why would they risk all of that? He's obviously genuine. Um, he works really hard to create all of this podcast and the website, which I didn't ever like check the website for blind items or anything like that because I could really care less about current celebrity pop culture.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like it started pretty strong. And by a month into it, he was already saying, I love you to me and saying he wants to spend the rest of his life with me before we had even met. And I had only seen like two pictures of him.
And again, during this time, not only has he sent you pictures, which he looks a decent age. No offense to anyone who's older. But you are also under the impression that what are you under the impression that his relationship status is
Well, he
at
told
this
me,
point?
yeah, he told me he was single. It's so lonely being anonymous, living in the desert all alone. And he told me that he was 42, I want to say, which was a total lie. He sent me like 20-year-old pictures of himself. So, yeah, I mean, he lied about everything about himself.
So between the lying, the love bombing, you've also mentioned in interviews whether or not, it's in news publications or in other podcast interviews that you have done that he has a need for control. Can you give us any examples of how that showed up day to day, especially in regards to you or even in regards to his site? How does he relay his need for control?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that there is definitely like a very evident pattern that he does when he attacks women through his blind items or through his podcast series. There are so many women we could use as an example, but just for one, Lindsay Lohan, Suki Waterhouse. He uses these women to beat up on, to tear down. He's almost obsessively hateful towards women. Um, and so, that I found really intense, but also like, yeah, just sending me flowers constantly, calling me constantly, and then, not wanting me to record with other people, just wanting all of my
Oh,
time.
yes.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna hit stop share. There we go. Will it process my recording and send it to the cloud again, do you think? I don't know.
Yes. However, what I've discovered from when you and I do them
Time.
is,
And so instead of recording my podcast at night like I used to do, I started basically listening to him record every single night. I would just be on the Zoom, but I would be silent, I would be muted. So all of those episodes he posted for like that year and a half, I was literally on the recording listening. I just wasn't making any noise. Um, so, kind of like it's fun at first to listen to somebody record but after a while, like that's very boring. And I felt like my entire life was pretty much taken because he would call me at 7:20 in the morning as soon as I woke up, which he lives in California and I'm in Florida, so he was getting up like in the middle of the night to call me, which is very bizarre.
Yeah, so like 4 in the morning or so, or
Yeah,
3 in the
and
morning.
he'd called me as soon as I wake up, then he'd call me, at like 10 a.m., and then he would text me all day long, and then he'd call me again in the afternoon, talk to me, talk to my children, and, we'd have the episode that night. I would listen to him record the episode, and then sometimes we would watch TV on Zoom together. Like we'd watch Love Boat or The Larry Saunders Show or Dr. Katz. Or sometimes, which this happened a lot of the times, he started just like basically sending me Zoom invites right after recording because he wanted to have what he called playtime. Sorry if that's too graphic, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't even like phone sex, really. It was, or like a mutual thing. It was just like sit there and look pretty so that I can jerk my baby carrot. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, and then yeah, and why you have kids in the next room as well. At least he did. And
Hmm.
again, you didn't know that at all.
No, I didn't
So,
know he was married with children in
yeah.
the same house as him.
So while he's married with children and he is running Sally, one of the top gossip blind websites, he's doing that regularly. He has a Patreon episode where he's putting out 5 to 6 episodes a week that are at least 30 minutes to an hour long. On top of blowing you up every single minute, and he's supposed to be a lawyer. When did he have time to do his lawyering?
I'd have to say in my opinion, there's absolutely no way he practices any kind of law. There's no way. If things kind of came to a head at first when his wife reached out to me.
Yes, but before we get
And
into that, though,
okay. Mhm.
so do you feel like he purposely though tried to isolate you?
For sure. And Tiffany, my co-host on Drenched in Drama and my co-host from Welcome to the Carterverse, her and I have always been very close. And sometimes we can spend like hours at a time on FaceTime together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like we just completely stopped talking. I would only talk to her here and there, but she knew I was busy with Enty. She knew that I was like in some kind of relationship with him. And she's like, I think you deserve to be happy. You deserve to have somebody that wants to take care of you and love you. So she was happy for me. But yeah, I mean, I was very isolated from all my friends and my family too, because I felt like I had to lie about who he was.
Right.
And the lies just got bigger and bigger and bigger as the deeper I got into it, like a cancer.
So explain how you got involved in it deeper into the point where you guys eventually started spending not just long distance from California to Florida, like completely cross country. Um, explain when you guys finally were able to meet up, and then when the truth actually came out and came to a head.
Yeah. Well, so he planned a trip here. And I thought that was awesome. He got an Airbnb here close to my apartment. I took some vacation days and I went and hung out with him, and it was his birthday, December 6th. Um, we had a great time. He acted like a single guy. He was definitely a lot older than I anticipated, but you know what? Like, I am not a judgmental person. I don't really care how somebody looks. Like, if they're a good person, that's all that matters to me, which, like, I guess the joke's on me. But, things were great. And he left, went back to California. And very shortly after that, I got a message from his wife. She basically was like, listen, he cheats on me all the time. He's terrible. He's a liar. He makes up all the blind items. Just a multitude of things that she messaged me. I screenshotted the first thing she texted me and sent it to him as like basically a warning shot, being like, hey, I know that you have a wife. I know you're a cheater. Like, don't speak to
Mhm.
me. I'm done. And he immediately started saying that he was going to fly here and that that's his ex and she's just drunk and she's a liar and she doesn't know what she's talking about and all this. um and I said to him, and I have all these messages, I said to him, don't, like, why would you come here? There's no reason for you to come here. And he was like, no, I'm coming there, whether you want me to or not. Maybe I'll get an apartment near you and I'll be there in case you want, to be with me, or in case the kids need a ride to school. Like, I'm going to be a part of your life. I promised you that, and I'm in love with you and all this crap. So, and I was very uncomfortable with him coming here. And he showed up at my door like
Around Christmas time?
a week before Christmas.
Week before Christmas.
He left his wife and children week before Christmas and came here, told me that he was separated, and he was like, if I wasn't separated from her, how could I leave at Christmas time? Like, we are separated. This is her Christmas with the kids. Meanwhile, his kids are at home crying, freaking out
Mm,
because they have no idea where their dad is, and he's lying to them, telling them that he's in Big Sur. And his wife is messaging me all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's like, don't look at it. She's drunk. She's just like that. But I'm thinking, like, if she's that bad of an alcoholic, you should not leave your children with her. I,
right.
w- I was so naive. I have never been involved with a married man before. So the more I've learned now, looking back, and the more I've learned, I know that these are all like very common lies that cheaters say. But at that time, I didn't know that. And he's a very good liar, if you've ever listened to his podcast. So,
Obviously, I mean, it's what he does for a living now is spin lies, and
and he's
we can
got
only imagine how
20.
many women he has lied to. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. He's lied to many women, many, many, many women. Many of them have come out and spoke about that publicly, including Dana Wilkie. Um, and he's got 25 years on me as well. So he showed up here. He brought a lot of things. Like, he brought a huge desktop computer, a bunch of his like college memorabilia. I mean,
What?
yeah, like I don't think he was planning to come and go. I think he was planning to stay. Okay, like, he brought a lot of stuff.
Wow. I didn't even know that. College memorabilia. Who
Weird
the hell brings
stuff.
that in from his unaccredited college too?
Yeah. Yeah. Just weird stuff, personal
That's
items that he
crazy.
loved. Yeah. And, that's when I also found out that he had daughters. And I was like beside myself. I'm like, I have children. You've been talking to my children and you didn't tell me that you have kids. Like, that's unforgivable. And he said it was because he didn't know, how serious things were going to get between us. And he just wanted to protect them. And he couldn't find the right time to tell me, just, and I had wanted to believe him. And then he sent me a ton of pictures of them and pictures with him and them to make me feel comfortable. So I don't know. But yeah, he shows up, he stays here through Christmas at my house, goes to my grandfather's house with me and my family, and does Christmas Eve with my family. We all go out to breakfast Christmas morning. Um, this is like the first time my kids have ever been around a man since I separated with their father years ago. So it was really an intense time. Um,
Yeah, not anything you take lightly either.
yeah, like I thought it was pretty serious, you know. And I really at that point is when like the major denial was kicking in because now I've let this person talk to my children. I've let him in my home and be around my kids, and he's like taking my daughter to speech therapy appointments and taking my daughter to go do things all day while I'm working. I mean, we're living together. We're
Hmm.
living together, like functioning as a family unit. Um, and I didn't want to believe that like I've let a monster in my house, you know, or a liar. I I could I couldn't believe that. So I just had to bury my head in the sand, and I would lie to myself. I would lie to Tiffany, lie to my parents, and just, pretend that everything was great. And he was more than happy to feed me any lie about his wife that he could to make things make sense. Like she disappeared and the cops are after me. So now I have to go back and take care of the children and be investigated. Oh my gosh, they found her. Oh, but she's going to rehab out in the desert. And now I have to have sole custody of the kids, but I'm not living in the house. I'm living in this other place down the street. And, constantly just coming up with a different story. But with this ultimate end goal of us being together, buying a house together, being one big happy family.
So then how did things end during that last trip to Florida? How many times did he come out to Florida?
He
Twice or three
came
times?
3 times.
Okay.
Yeah. So after he went back because his wife was supposedly missing, and then she was found miraculously and she was okay. Thank God. And she was okay and she was going to take care of the kids and everything's great and they hashed it out and she understands. And I actually even talked on the phone with her. That was such a traumatic and emotional time. And we talked to their kids on car phone. Like she 100% knew that he had come here, that he was coming here, everything. Like I'm sure you've heard the voicemail where she's
Hmm.
like screaming, saying, "You're in love with her. Just get out of my house. Go be with her." Right.
Yeah.
So he comes back here for the third and final time, and he starts like after like 2 days here, he starts having this like fake heart attack and like freaking out. And he's like, "Oh my God, I can't get a hold of her. I think that she has committed suicide and murdered the children. And I have to go back to California to make sure that they're safe. I can't believe this." And I'm like, he's like, "I just want to be with you. I don't understand why we can't be together. This is horrible." And I was like, "Oh my God, like it's your kids. Like who the fuck cares about me? Like go like take care of your children. You think they're unalived. Oh my God, go." So, and I'm like trying to raise 3 kids and work a full-time job in this chaos, mind you, and like call my mom and be like, "No, everything's fine." Um, so he went back to California that third time, and that's when he said his wife, she was off the deep end and she was going to be in rehab in an inpatient rehab facility for several months, and he got full legal custody of the girls. He even sent me, Danny, court documents showing that they were divorced, getting a divorce. He's like, "We have been separated. We've been separated, but just for you, babe, I'm going to make it official. We're getting divorced." Sends me court documents signed by a judge with his children's names and social security numbers on them and birth dates. Who does
And
that?
who does that? Who is also an alleged lawyer.
When Lila Shapiro, the
too.
reporter from New York Magazine, asked him about that, he just laughed and was like, "Well, it's not illegal."
How is it not illegal? Like,
Okay. I
come
mean,
on
that doesn't
now.
make it right. That's insane, you know? And he likes to say like, "Well, she's the one that believed me." And that's kind of what he does with his audience too, right? Because he'll say like, "Well, they should know better. It's for entertainment purposes only." Like I was supposed to figure out that this was all a ruse. You know, I'm not a professional liar. It wouldn't occur to me that somebody would fabricate court documents,
Mhm.
photos, videos, whole entire scenarios, like so many stories, so many lies.
Especially
Um,
someone who is a lawyer, who's telling you that he loves you, that has built up this successful business. And he definitely seems to have it together as compared to some other guys, in this world. I mean, how would you have any idea that that would happen? Like, it is Dirty John 3.0, like we've been
mhm.
saying, mixed in with some other crazy stories.
Yeah, I mean, and I did try and break it off with him multiple times, because I felt like it was very chaotic. What to me at the beginning it felt mysterious and exciting. It became
Mhm.
chaotic and scary and intense with all the sexual stuff that happened with him, and he was very violent in bed and very intense, and I controlling about my weight, what I would eat, who I would speak to, just everything.
So
And
did that happen right away, Cassandra? Did that happen during before obviously certain physical things could not happen until you guys actually met, but did some of that happen prior to meeting the first time,
it
the
really
second time? What exactly?
it yeah, it was the second time, like it really started the second time. The first time he came to visit, he was like a totally different person. He was very nice, very kind. Um, didn't seem nothing seemed off at all. But then the second time, it was like all bets were off. I don't know. He just unleashed this darker part of him. And like, I know you've heard the audio recordings he sent me
Mhm.
that are so disturbing. And he
Beyond.
was like sending me text messages like that as well. And like always asking me, he knew that I had an eating disorder, and I truly believe he was intentionally trying to agitate that and like trigger me into relapsing into that eating disorder. And I did. Um and it was bad. I mean, I lost like 35 pounds.
And
It
you
was
were already
bad.
skinny.
I was already skinny. It
Yeah.
was it was really scary. And um I it was intense. There's a lot looking back on some of the blind items he has written about Heather O'Rourke, for example, the things he made up about her being penetrated and molested to death, and just taking so much joy in a little girl like that being sexually assaulted, and writing that story out of, full cloth on his own, no external
Yeah.
actual information to put into it. He literally made that story up. He admitted that to Lila Shapiro in that New York Magazine article. That I believe he takes pleasure in hurting women, girls. I think that he is very obsessed with young girls. I think there is a reason he wanted me to be so small. And that's just my opinion based off of my personal experience. Um, yeah.
So while you were in the relationship with him, was it affecting your mental health at that time, or did you just really realize it afterwards? And was there ever any moment while you were in the relationship that you feared for your safety?
Yeah, well, the thing too about not eating is that you get this kind of like mental fog, And I was definitely feeling that. I was losing so much weight, and he was calling me, which I've shown, these phone records. This is all
Mhm.
100% true. He was calling me at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, every single night, right after I would fall asleep. So I was very like just completely disoriented all the time. I never knew if he was coming or going. He would always have this story about how he was about to come down here again. She's almost out of rehab. Oh, the
Mhm.
grandma's going to watch them so I can come see you. And he would go as far as to like talk to my kids about these plans and like hype them up on all these things as well, which to me, it didn't seem like I don't know, that's like a level of evil I didn't think anybody was capable of, If you're gonna tell kids something, you're obviously not lying. Like, who would lie to a bunch of
Right.
kids, It doesn't make sense.
Especially as a parent yourself,
Yeah, it didn't
you
make sense
know?
to me. And I thought he was a great dad because told me that he was taking them to school every day, doing all their extracurricular activities, like 100% doing everything for those girls. Come to find out from Victoria's close friends who reached out to me privately, come to find out she's the one that takes care of them full time and he just stays locked in the closet masturbating where his daughter can hear him. Also, I am concerned because, as you know, he sent me a
The
book
book,
that
yeah.
he wrote about his daughter having her first kiss. It's her name. It's very creepy. I have never published it to the Patreon because honestly, like I I feel like it just needs to go straight to the FBI. I don't know. Like I don't even know what to do with that information. I'm very concerned
But
about
the FBI is investigating you, Cassandra, but
right. I'm very concerned
we
about
don't need
any
to get into it, it's
minors,
just bullshit,
any
but
any
yeah. But no,
minors
concerning the book,
around him. Yeah. And I think as bad as
very
my
concerning.
mental,
So at this point, Cassandra, you've had 3 separate occasions together, a year and a half worth of a relationship. You've gotten over the fact that, okay, he wasn't technically divorced when you met him. Let me get over that. And hey, I've spoken to your wife here and there over time. I'm working through that. And then now you are getting to the point where you are, as you said, planning a life together, planning on moving together. And was he planning on moving out there? Was he going to bring you to move out there? What exactly before everything really went down?
yeah. So originally the plan was for him to move here. And I believe he did actually plan on doing that. But Victoria caught him. And I think he just figured, well,
Okay,
whatever.
so Cassandra, thank you. We had a pause. I had to readjust a little bit of technical difficulty. So thank you everyone. I'm rocking my son's headset right now. Hopefully I look really good. But I was saying, Cassandra, at this point, I think you've been dating like a year and a half
Oh,
or
you were
so.
asking, yeah, about the move. Okay.
Yes, and you were getting ready to move.
Base
Um, yeah, go ahead.
Basically, the original plan was for him to move here, and I do think he intended to do that before Victoria put an end to that. So he had to come up with an alternative idea to string me along, and he was like, "Hey, I think you should move to California." Because I was like, "Look, if you're not going to move here, I kind of just want to break up so I can move on with my life." This is taking up a lot of my time, energy, effort. I don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, we're going to be together. We're going to be a family. Um, you and the kids should move out here. And I'm living in this townhouse near my ex's where the kids live and, part-time, and they're coming back and forth, and she's sober now and doing so much better. So it's going to be fine. And yeah, literally, he convinced me that me and the kids were going to move out to Indio, California, where him and his wife live.
So you are packing up stuff, having going away parties, pulling your kids out of therapy, which was so hard to get, letting school know as well that, hey, they're going to be leaving soon. And then what happens one day to you? And
Yeah,
what
then
day of the week was this?
it was, let me see.
Like,
Let me
where
just,
were you when the world changed?
yeah. It was, um,
And mind you, at this point, you are under the impression again that you guys are getting ready to move. Like, there is no concern, there is nothing apparent of things going awry besides his shadiness, some of his lies, physical relationship like really escalating when you guys get together. But from what you know, like, everything's kosher. You guys are getting ready to start a life together.
Yeah, so on November 3rd at 9:37 a.m., I get a knock on my door, which I believe is going to be John because he said that he was on an airplane. He was telling my kids, like, I'll be there in the morning, help your mom finish packing. We're going to get everything loaded up this weekend and drive to California while I have somebody babysit the girls. Literally involving my children with this move. He knew I pulled them out of therapy and out of school. He said, don't worry, because we're going to get them all kinds of services out there. It's actually much better because they'll have Medi-Cal. And he knew like what kind of intensive therapies my daughter and son were in because he had taken them to those therapies,
Mhm.
because my daughter is nonverbal. And I go to the door, expecting it to be him after he just texted me, I love you, like 30 minutes prior. And it is a Pinellas County Sheriff's officer. And she hands me a basically an order to show up in court for stalking. um with John's name on it, and a case number, and it was for protection against domestic violence filed against me by him. So I was in shock, obviously. I
Mhm.
and I said to the officer, like, I don't even understand, like, what is this? Like, and I showed her my phone. I showed her, like, he's literally texting me right now. Like he's still texting me. She's like, yeah, this guy, this is weird. Just, don't contact him again. Well, obviously, I did not, follow that direction. I blew up his phone,
Mhm.
was like, why would you do this? This is insane. Like, are you kidding? So everything has been a lie. Like, now honestly, I was going in my head, like, retracing everything, going over every lie he had told me, trying to figure out what was true, what was a lie, what was his real motive for being in my home around my children. He was around my daughter, like, fuck, just all of the thoughts as a parent that go through your head. I I couldn't, like, I was literally sick to my stomach. Tiffany and I sat down and recorded
Hey
that
guys,
night.
happy Saturday afternoon. Tiffany here. Just wanted to throw in at the beginning a quick post-editing note. Cassandra and I recorded the episode last night. It's very raw, it's very emotional. I just want to remind everybody that this is from her perspective and from my perspective, as somebody who has witnessed this relationship from the beginning. As we go along, things will come out, and even things, that Cassandra herself may not be proud about doing or saying. But we want to make sure that we are completely transparent.
Perfect. So welcome back to another episode of Cassandra Explains Hell with you. Just kidding. Tiffany's here to save the day, and we are drenched in drama.
So this is quite the cross episode. Welcome to Cassandra Explains. Welcome to the Carterverse, and welcome to Drenched in Drama. So I have a question for you guys. Have you ever fallen head over heels in love and you thought it was just too good to be true? You just met a person who absolutely got you. You thought, and you got them, and everything was just beautiful. So, you guys who have followed us for a while know that Drenched in Drama is something that was supposed to start a year ago. And Cassandra and I actually went through hell and back just trying to figure out what the name was going to be. And then, finally deciding that it was going to be Celebrity True Crime. And, we've planned on starting to record it. We've had some bumps along the way, and we were going to start recording very soon. Tonight was not going to be very soon. It was actually going to be after Cassandra moved to California. For those of you who don't know, Cassandra should be on her way to California right now to live her dream. Did fall head over heels in love, but unfortunately, it was too good to be true. So, Drenched in Drama is still going to be a celebrity true crime podcast. Unfortunately, we realized that it's going to be based upon our lives. Mine, because I'm Cassandra's best friend, and hers, because she's been living a nightmare, living hell in a relationship with someone who is incredibly famous and incredibly, in my opinion, diabolical. And so, this is the story about Cassandra's life. And unfortunately, her life is going to involve celebrity true crime. Cassandra, did you ever think that you would become the subject of our podcast?
No, definitely not. I never thought that I would even be in a relationship a year ago. I was just doing my nostalgia nerd podcaster thing, and I ended up doing a crossover episode with someone who's a celebrity podcaster, and they kind of swept me off my feet. And so I made it pretty clear, just like I do to my whole audience. You can go back and listen to all my podcasts. I've always made it clear that I just don't want to date, because with my kids having disabilities and me being a single mom, I just want to do my podcasting thing, my full-time job, and take care of my kids, taking them to therapies and stuff. But this person did really sweep me off my feet, and it seemed like, too good to be true, I guess. And it was. It was too good
that
to be true.
night about everything that happened, because I knew I had to expose him. If he was this much of a liar and was capable of doing what he did to me and my kids, like, he has so much power and so much influence, Danny. How many other women and children has he done this to?
Seriously.
And he is anonymous. He operates under anonymity because he's able to get away with this shit, with bullying and intimidating and using people. And I knew that he needed to be exposed. And once he was exposed, so many women came out of the woodwork with receipts to support everything, that I suspected when I outed him, when he was exposed. Although I will say, because he filed the paperwork with his legal name, all I had to do was say that someone filed paperwork on me, and internet sleuths were able to expose him and do the rest. That's how fucking stupid he is.
Yay for internet sleuths that are out there.
Yeah.
And also thank you for the journalists that also helped bring your story to light, because as we know, not only was those papers served to you and then, thrown out because no one really took them serious, you still had to go to court for him and go back and forth for some quite time. Can you like briefly summarize what happened there?
It was an entire year of going back and forth to court because he kept getting continuations. Okay. Why? The only thing I can imagine is that he was obsessed with me and he just wanted to control and punish me for exposing him, for daring to defy him, which his wife Victoria had never done before. I think he's been able to keep women in line. I think that we can see that with Jen and with all these other
Yeah.
women he works with and silences, Carrie, so many women. And he was not able to control me in that way. And I think he was trying to punish me by dragging me to court over and over and over. With the help of my Patreon and all of our podcast listeners, I was able to get a lawyer, thank God. And ultimately, he flew here to go to trial for this court case. I mean, we literally had to present our cases in front of a judge, which is a whole nother story. He showed up here. It was very emotional for me. Obviously, like I had so much PTSD over it. Um, and we went to court and he announced that he was having me investigated by the FBI. So that actually was a good thing for me because it meant that I did not have to self-incriminate and testify whatsoever. So I got to just sit there and listen. I didn't have to be cross-examined, which was very nice. But he did have to be cross-examined, and I had a just plethora of evidence. After he filed that order on me, it took several weeks for me to get served. And in that time, he just continued contact with me. Not only continued contact, he kept planning for us to move together. He kept sending me Zoom links for him to jerk off, even after he filed a stalking
Wild.
order on me. He sent
Wild.
me videos of himself masturbating. This is a truly unhinged person. Like, if you're plotting to destroy somebody or get rid of them, would you send them videos of yourself masturbating?
No.
It's insane.
No.
So
Unless you're deranged and
direct,
he's
completely,
deranged. Ugh,
completely
in my
deranged.
opinion.
And my lawyer really did a good job of showcasing how insane he is. And he was really fighting in court for me not to be able to say his name publicly, not to be able to talk about Enty lawyer. He tried to get me to sign multiple NDAs. He wanted me to sign my rights away to ever be able to talk about this again. And my lawyer honestly was like, just sign it and be done with him. He's a psychopath and he'll never stop coming for you. And Tiffany was like, absolutely not. No, you are not going to be silenced. Fuck that. Go in front of a judge. The judge can make the decision. And the judge ultimately decided that I am clearly not a stalker and honestly, like she was appalled by all of the evidence I was able to bring, and he made himself look like an idiot in court. He even
Yeah, and
tried to
definitely not lawyerly.
no, he tried to file a federal lawsuit against me as well that got immediately dismissed in the circuit court before it even reached me. And the judge that dismissed it suggested to him that he seek legal counsel because it was so poorly written.
How embarrassing.
But imagine trying to terrorize and abuse a single mother with three children, two of whom are disabled, someone living below the poverty line. Meanwhile, you live in a six-bedroom mansion in a gated community, and you've got all this money pouring in every month on your
Mhm.
lies. And this is what you choose to do. You choose to terrorize a woman and her children, not once for a relationship, not twice, like when the breakup happens, but three times. I mean, he's literally torturing me through the entire court process and after. And it was so emotional, Danny, because the day we went to court, I won. finally, I was victorious. I won, and it was
I know I
so
started screaming. Ah.
it was so bittersweet because the next day was my daughter's birthday, and my grandfather ended up passing that night. So I just remember the next day sitting at my dining room table with my mom, and we're both like crying because my grandfather had passed, and
Mm,
we're pretending like happy birthday and like giving my daughter cake and presents and trying to just be cheerful. But we had lost her father, and it was so emotional. And everything we'd been through over the last year was so hard and so emotional. And the kids were extremely affected by all of this. I mean, they were very close with John. They thought, that he was a father figure to them. He talked to them constantly. He sent them gifts constantly. He told them that they were going to be moving out there and living with him. He sent
yeah.
them school schedules and things. So this, it's a very disorienting feeling and scary feeling to have somebody lie to you on that level and then turn around and try to terrorize you, you know?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I'm happy that you didn't give up because I do remember many times that you wanted to give up and you were definitely scared and you had been through it and no one should have to go through everything you've been through, especially from a man who claims to be an advocate for
Mm-hmm.
women. Sometimes it's the men who pretend to be the biggest advocates are really the worst abusers. So I'm just so happy that you didn't give up, that now others hopefully know the truth. Obviously, a lot of people know the truth, but they pretend to ignore it,
Mm-hmm.
but at least
They
the
don't
truth
care.
is out there. And what is the website, Cassandra, that everyone can go to?
www.entylawyer.com is a good place to start. Um,
Cassandra pulled a Justin Baldoni before Justin Baldoni did a Justin Baldoni.
exactly. I figured, if you're so much of a boomer that you don't own your own domain, that's on you. My lawyer was not happy that I launched that website. But you know what? I felt like the truth will set you free. And honestly, like, if it was just me that he hurt, okay, whatever. I could get over it. But like my kids,
Yeah.
it brought out a whole new level of insanity inside myself I didn't even know I was capable of. And I think he really fucked with the wrong person. I know that there's always going to be people out there who don't really care because they just love gossip or they love to trash this one celebrity. So they want to hear it, whether it's true or not. Um, and that's something I've had to learn to come to terms with. But anybody who's engaging with a content creator who's actively like disseminating child torture porn, it's, I really, my opinion of these people are very low, anyways. So it's no loss to me. There's always going to be people like that in the world. It's gross, but it is what it is. Anybody I see covering blind items, I immediately block them and just move on with my life. It's
Yeah.
disgusting. When you go down the rabbit hole of what he covers, you'll realize there's a lot of child sexual assault material. There's a lot of true crime lies. There's just a lot of things that, prey on victims. And like you said, sometimes the people that are they put themselves out there as if they are for women and protect women and victims. Those are sometimes the worst people, with
Stop
their
some of it.
Well, let me just tell you, okay, that he got caught cheating on his wife. Enty lawyer has been outed here in the States because he cheated on his wife and then filed a restraining order on his girlfriend like minutes after he exited her house. So he's like, bye, love you, leaves his girlfriend's house, files a restraining order on her, and now she's doing a podcast where she's completely outing him. We're not even sure he's a real entertainment lawyer.
people, what they're actually hiding. And I think that's what makes him especially dangerous is that he has this platform to be able to draw in female victims and give them like a safe space and a
Mhm.
platform, and he gets to feed off of their trauma stories
Yep.
and manipulate them. And I've had many, many women come to me and tell me that he's done this to them. So, that's why to me it was so important that he was exposed, and that if he does this to another girl, she will be able to Google his name or Google Enty lawyer, within that first month of the relationship and see who he really is. If she wants to make that decision to be with him, she can. That's, her
On her.
choice. But
Yeah.
at least nobody else will be blindsided the way that me and my kids were.
Oh, I commend you, and you've been through hell and back, Cassandra, and sometimes when people are put in a situation like that, they could go one way or they could go the other way, and you were truly, like, as corny as it sounds, a phoenix rising through the ashes with, the justice and the truth that you were able to get for yourself with winning in court with 1, 2, 3 news publications, right?
Yeah, many, many.
Right? The New
And it
York
was the number
Post.
3 Vulture
Yeah,
article of the year. So that was
yep.
amazing.
Beating out a Puff Daddy story.
Hmm.
Insane.
One
No,
that
I mean,
you uncovered that he has a $70,000 tax lien on him.
oh no, there's way more money than that. I think it's like 350,000.
Oh,
I feel like in
my.
total it's been like
A lot.
it's been that amount. But in knowing all of the justice and how you've been able to come out on the other side. And as I told you, 2025 is so going to be your year, Cassandra, with everything coming ahead, which we'll keep that secret for right now. But for people who might be in a similar dynamic with someone manipulative online, what would you tell them?
If you have to lie to yourself or the people around you, it's a red flag. It's such a red flag. The second that you feel like you have to cover up for somebody, that should be a wake up call, and just do your due diligence. Like anybody who's pretending to be this anonymous figure, nobody's truly anonymous. Nobody's above the rest of us. There's always somebody behind the keyboard, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um, and yeah, that's you people, it's just not safe. The internet is not a
Yeah.
safe place. And you really have to be aware that there are predators out there who are specifically targeting women and people that they know are vulnerable to either make money, get nude photos of you, get access to your children. You have no
Mm-hmm.
idea what the motives of these people may be. So just, protect yourself.
Well said, Cassandra. Now, before we close things off, I would like to do a couple of lightning round questions. Really, not too many. Are you ready?
Definitely.
Okay. One word to describe John Nelson. I know that must
Have
be so hard.
I have to say liar, right?
Okay. Yeah, anti-liar. The blind you most regret helping publish.
Anything having to do with Aaron Carter.
Okay. What is one thing you want people to finally understand about you?
Hmm. Mm. That I was not looking for love or fame. Um, I truly do think that this person is very calculated on how they select who they are going to prey on. And, I stumbled upon this and I was very vulnerable after he got exposed at showing like the absolute worst of myself too. I'm not
Mhm.
proud of a lot of the things that I've had to expose. But I do feel like it was necessary to get out there, to show the full story and show all of the receipts. And I I don't know. It's hard because I've had to have so much therapy since this happened. And
A good
it
silver lining, though, a good silver lining.
yeah, yeah. And but something like that is so disorienting. And um I would not have been able to do any of this without you, without Tiffany, without a community of extremely strong women just rallying around me and really making sure that we got justice.
Yeah. You were very strong, and again, like, I commend you for being so raw, so honest, not giving up when on, like, your darkest days, you wanted to give up because you already had enough pressure in this world for you. So, Cassandra, thank you for not being afraid to speak up, and thank you for your friendship. I'm happy this should hopefully be the last time that you and I have to talk about this loser from here on out. It's just fun topics moving forward.
I'll say the next time we talk about this, it's going to be with the camera crew.
Yes, that
And
will
I'll
be
just
the exception.
I'll just leave it at that.
Teaser.
Yes.
Awesome, Cassandra. Thank you so much, honey. I have so much love for you. Thank you, everyone, again. Make sure to follow Cassandra. I will make sure to include it in the notes. Like, subscribe, leave a review for myself, leave a review for Cassandra as well. The gift can go both ways. Thank you all for listening and watching. Take care until next time.
Tune into the buzz, it's the talk of the day. From Bravo shows to the latest celeb spree, we've got the tea, come sip it with me. Danny Gossip Girl.